Oh my word. Everybody heard what's going on. What's going on, Dylan? We're talking about Bart Gunn. Bart Gunn's my friend. Dylan's my enemy. Dylan is frozen. I am not frozen. I am full of heat. Heat for Bart Gunn. He's a contractor who ran away to the circus for a bit and now he's back and he's still an electrician. Bart Gunn. I like Bart Gunn. Do you like Bart Gunn, Dylan?
Yes, I don't know. I think
Dylan
we
likes
commit
Bart
some.
Gunn. Dylan likes Bart Gunn. Dylan likes Bart Gunn for a different reason than me. Dylan likes punching financial advisors. JBL is a financial advisor. Dylan doesn't believe in capitalism. Dylan is a cultural Marxist. I am now Jordan Peterson's friend.
Ooh,
Welcome to the Make Your Bed review. We review how you make your bed, and
yeah,
if you did it bad,
yeah.
we say you're a woman, therefore chaotic, therefore bad.
I
Bart
mean, does
Gunn,
diet matter?
I
It's where
like
you
Bart.
eat it. If
Oh,
you eat it in
exactly.
bed, no matter what it is, then you're lazy. But if you eat
That's
it
right.
in the woods while you're naked, then no
You're
matter what
powerful.
it is, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I will
It's
never
also
forget.
important to have just a little bit of shit in your butt. Just a little bit of
You
shit.
have to have a little bit of shit. Hey,
Oh,
hey,
a little bit of shit in your
but
little butt.
you don't want it out. You want to just be carrying just
Oh, just a
just
little bit.
you want a smooth log, and right before it's coming out, you want to pinch the last part, and you want to keep that. You
Oh,
want to keep
good.
that's your little treasure. That's your little
Oh,
toxic
that's your
treasure. You
little
say,
treasure. That's a little treasure. That's what you need for dieting.
yeah, you keep it in your cave. Keep it in your cave.
Keep it in your cave. And this week we're going to be talking about Bart Gunn, who I'm
That's
going to
right.
say it. He's handsome. I understand why they signed him. And then they must have been like, oh, this guy doesn't do any of the things. But he was
Bart
just so
Gunn.
nice, they kept him.
Bart Gunn is the most man after a divorce I've ever seen him. A Canadian man in the '90s after a divorce I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to wear a t-shirt that is 2 sizes too large for me. It will be a weird color that will match none of my clothes. I got glasses, and I don't really care about anything.
And also, I think weirdly, one of the like, this guy had like a crazy second career in Japan that was way better than his WWF career.
Would you say, and we're doing this in the reverse, but would you say between him, who it like, I always find it amazing. Like Scott Norton is, I think, the biggest difference between a U.S. career and a Japanese career is like he is second match in the America, New Japan champion of the world in Japan. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't, yeah, I don't. I think that Bart Gunn is even more than Scott Norton because Scott
interesting.
Norton
Interesting how
was,
wrong you are.
but Scott Norton was like booked like a strong man.
Great point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Scott Norton was kind of booked like Bradshaw or Farouk was in WWF and WCW, where it was like, yeah, if you beat Scott Norton, you're like amazing. No one
Yeah, if
took
you beat
Scott Norton off his feet. Blah blah blah.
if you beat Scott Norton, you're gonna be the U.S. champion.
Yeah, we're pushing you really strongly, and Scott Norton's gonna look good either way. Whereas Bart
Yeah.
Gunn was like, oh, he just loses to whoever.
Yeah, but Bart Gunn is also the most like, yeah, I'll do that. I guess I don't know. Like the fact that he took time off from being a wrestler to just build his own house was truly amazing. It was a truly exceptional move for this man. We are jumping all over the place, as is our wont recently. But here's the thing with Bart Gunn when you really break it down. His career starts because he's a handsome boy living in Florida. And here's the thing that Dylan and I have learned the most of doing this podcast for now almost 7 years. You want to be a wrestler in the 80s and 90s? Just go to high school in Minnesota or be in Florida. And guess what? You can be a hot boy. Excuse me, hot boy. And get in this van and do cocaine with Kevin Sullivan.
Ugh, go for it.
Did you want us to be totally quiet so we could just hear your baby scream so loud?
Oh yeah.
I like it when your baby yells because it's just I'm like, all right, some of your wife's in there. Yeah,
No.
finally, but we need some
No, she-
passion.
No, he's right. He's just off screen.
Yeah,
I'm making him listen about Bart Gunn.
of course.
Think
Your
he
favorite
knows
wrestler?
Bart
First
Gunn.
thing you, I assume you sat him down very early into his life and said, "You better know how to build a house. You're a got man. We know how to build houses. Dylan, by the way, built the house I'm in right now.
Yeah, that's why it's all windows. Seemingly.
That's right. Dylan only installs windows in houses. He
Yeah.
built MC Hammer's house that bankrupted him. It was made
what I
completely of
do
glass.
and also some of the air gets in there because I feel like you should sort of always be outside.
Yeah. Dylan is a survivalist. Dylan's part of the base. Dylan is Dylan is Andreas Breivik. No, he's not any of those things.
I don't know what's Andreas Breivik.
He's a guy from Norway who killed 70 people to accelerate a race war. And I felt bad saying that about you.
Oh, no, like a race war. So I mean, like a war of like I don't know everyone who gets in races and see which one's the best at it.
That's your version of it, yeah. You're like marathon runners versus relay. There's only one way to decide.
Oh, that's really fun. So, all right, well, we should talk about Bart Gunn. He was.
We should talk
born
about Brett.
almost in 1966, December 27th in Florida, and he just seems like a nice man. He used to watch.
He's just a nice
wrestling,
guy.
so he started wrestling.
He liked wrestling, so he started wrestling. Not trained by the Monster Factory, which is what I was convinced of. I was convinced he was going to be trained by the Monster Factory. He wasn't. He just sort of was. Also, can you pronounce Bart Gunn's last name?
No.
Yeah, it's
Michael Pokalopek.
it's a nightmare. Michael Pilakpik.
Polopek. So he's got a goddamn fucking last name on him. Also, one of the smartest things that he then ignores, a guy comes into his job at the Sears Auto Center and goes, "You'd be a great wrestler," and the guy was on crutches, or sorry, using a cane, so he thought, I don't think I want to be a wrestler, but then later goes, you know what, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. And what's amazing is he doesn't have a cane now. He's a good boy. He's just an electrician in Florida.
Perfect timing, weirdly, for him.
Oh my God! Yes.
When
Okay.
it got that everything was expected of people, he sort of like went to All Japan, which was you just hit each other in the chest super hard. And
Yeah,
don't,
so-
like go for it.
So basically, what it was he's trained by Boris Malenko. Boris Malenko, D. Malenko's father, trained X-Pac. Well, here's the thing: is Boris Malenko is a very old school territory wrestler, so he's actually going to teach you how to be a wrestler, so you can be a wrestler for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's like you're not being taught how to do a fucking spear through the ropes onto a flaming table. It's like, you see that? That's a headlock. That's a snap air drag down. That's an Irish whip. Those are all you're going to need. You're going to the WWF in 1992. You, my friend, are going to want to learn the atomic drop. It's going to be a lot of atomic drops. And then they're going to be gone, and no one will miss them. No one has ever missed the atomic drop. It's the worst move in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, no one does an atomic drop.
No, ever. Well, it's because it was like, oh my God, how bad for the back is this move?
Well, and also like the weird thing with the atomic drop is like now when everything's like on the neck or kind of, you know what? It makes more sense than like the stroke or like any of those moves. Remember when everyone used some weird forward Russian leg sweep for a bit, and it's like the atomic drop is a far better move than this.
The Russian leg sweep came quickly after the DDT and the Death Valley Driver because it went DDT, Death Valley Driver, Russian leg sweep, ECW folded. They just ran out of finishers to assign to young wrestlers.
Yeah, they ran out of weird finishers. Anyway, he learns to wrestle in 1991, which is important because it's basically like, oh, you're 6'5", and you're like a friendly dude. If you couldn't cut a promo at all, you're going to be world champion. You can't. Tag team champion then.
Yeah, a tag team champion. And he quickly meets a man named Tim Parker, who he tags with, wrestling as Bret Colt.
He was
and then he formed
a cowboy. Sweet.
Of course. And then he, of course, creates a team with Kip Winchester, which I didn't think was, I don't think is Billy Gunn's full name.
No, Kip Sop is his full name.
Is his real name.
No, sorry.
Kip.
His name is literally Monty Sop.
That's right. It's Monty. And then it became Kip. In the Tampa, Florida-based International Championship Wrestling Alliance, they were known as the Long Riders.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, bro. That's what she said when she saw their dongers.
Yeah,
how about?
So what was the gimmick, John?
They were cowboys. They literally Bart Gunn.
And
they got big dicks.
There you go. They had cowboys, so they would do the smoking guns thing where they would come and
Dylan,
they'd
can
shoot
you
the fake
sing the
guns.
Long Riders theme song for me?
Okay. When the eyes of the long riders upon you, we're gonna show our penises to you. That was it. And that was that. over and
When
over again.
you're in Texas, look behind you, because that's where the Long Rider's penis is going to be.
Yeah. And also they would go in, they would do the smoking guns thing with the guns, but they would do that with their dongs, and then
I
they
want
would-
you all
they
to
would be like
know.
flaccid, and they'd go point to a girl and then go, she'll make it hard. And it was disgusting even for early 90s wrestling.
I want you to know this right now. I want you to know this. I
Okay.
don't know the pin code to 2 of my bank cards, and I could sing the entire every lyric to the Walker Texas Ranger theme song.
I call bet.
You call bet?
Go for it.
When
Just
you-
1 second. Just 1 second.
Bring him up.
It's all
Bring him up.
over?
Bring him up.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it. Walker Texas Ranger
Yeah.
theme lyrics. Theme with lyrics.
Okay, because there's the
Soft
boom
lyric, it was the
team.
fourth
Doodle
one
doo.
down.
Yeah.
Lyrics on demand. All right. All right, go for it.
When you're in Texas, look behind you, because that's where the Ranger's going to be, is the chorus, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have gone blank on the original lyrics, even though as soon as you
Okay.
start saying them, I'm going to remember them.
This is by Chuck Norris, which I did.
It
not
is
realize.
which he also sings. He also sings it.
In the eyes of a ranger.
Eyes of a Ranger,
The
the
unsuspecting,
unsuspecting
stranger.
stranger.
had better know the
Better
truth.
knew the truth from wrong from right.
Because the eyes of a ranger are upon you. This is also an unsung way to tell if someone was a loser in the 90s. How many CBS
on-
Friday night.
First of all, it was a CBS Saturday night show, and it followed Martial Law, starring
Martial
Arsenio
Law was
Hall
good.
and Sammo Hung.
Sammo Hung. was
Sammo
good.
Hung, by the way, briefly was in the Long Riders because of his giant Sammo Hung dong. He was
Yeah,
hung.
exactly. Well, that's how he got the name.
That's of course right. His
When
name
you're
was
in
actually
Texas, look behind you because that's where the Rangers.
the Rangers.
Be.
Gonna
Also,
be.
that whole show. If you watch it now, is just like this is Chuck Norris being like, "Listen, I like cowboys, and here's what I do not like: Latin men. They're always
Yeah,
telling jokes. I want to kick.
No,
them.
you can make
Write
that.
a show around that.
You can make that foreigners. Every third episode is these Russian gangsters kidnapped a school bus. What are you gonna do, Walker? Speak softly with a much higher voice than you expected,
Yeah.
and for some reason, do karate to men with guns.
Oh, yeah,
Best
buddy.
episode of it, by the way, is Gary Busey plays an assassin who's obsessed with milk. Just he's killing people dramatically and then walking to the bar. Do you have any milk? Very good.
Gary Busey's. Oh man, what everyone.
Let me ask you this: of the in your house era of the WWE, is Bart Gunn the one of all of the nons like gone on to be legends of that era? He's the best one. Bart Gunn has the best life post wrestling of anyone in the
Yes.
93, 94, 95 roster that wasn't Bret Hart, and that's it. I think that is it. Bret Hart's the only one who has a better life than him. Maybe actually Billy Gunn's got a pretty good life.
Bret Hart doesn't have a better life than him. Bret Hart had a stroke.
Bret Hart has more money, is what I would say. So Bret Hart has more money. So I'd say Bret Hart doesn't have to work. Bret Hart just hangs out and smokes.
55 years old. Yeah, Bret Hart just answers the same 6 questions. I don't know, man. Part of me would fucking hate that. Of just like you're in
Oh,
life,
yeah.
right? You're just, hey, what
I will
happened
tell you,
there?
I've seen-
I don't know. They screwed me
I've-
over. All right.
I've seen Bret Hart live in person. He's very happy about it. Let me tell you what Bret Hart likes talking about. It's Bret Hart. Bret Hart is not really. I have never seen someone who worked with a guy 30 years ago, and Bret Hart still is like, Tom McGee, you stand up when I walk into a room, Tom. Like it is, like it's one of those things where you're like, wow, what are the rest of the Harts like if you're considered one of the nice balanced ones, Bret? Like I assume Bruce is just shits where he wants. Like I assume like he's just excuse me, sir, what are you doing? I'm taking a shit. You're in a church. Yeah. I'm using your church as my toilet. I'm Bruce Hart. And they're like, who, what? And they're like, Bruce Hart. Don't you remember?
He's
I'm
just- yeah.
I'm the better wrestler than Bret Hart. Who's Bret Hart? You don't know anything about Calgary.
Oh,
Like
but
words.
how do you think you're going to be successful with that body, too, Bruce Hart? A lot of the Harts are ignorant because it's like you look at them And I remember when they had that Survivor Series team where it was like actually all the Hart brothers, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
they can't be related to Brett and Owen. Brett and Owen are in great shape. It's just like they reminded me of like, I guess this is like when my uncles say they would beat someone up, they actually are like force them to dress in tights, which is very funny. Like Brett and Owen obviously get in your ring gear, but Bruce should have been allowed to wear like jeans.
Yeah.
No one
What's
needs to see
also
that much Bruce Hart.
what I also would like to point out, and it bothered me when I watched the match, which is everyone else black trunks, Brett walks out in pink trunks, and then when Owen's like a
Yeah.
dick to him, it's like, yeah, Brett's being a dick. You don't wear different trunks than the rest of your team. It would be like if like on the Oakland Raiders, the quarterback just dressed in all white. I'm the best one.
I'm special, actually. Well, I mean, he was the best one.
Owen Hart was better.
Must
Owen
be
Hart's
like
a better wrestler
crazy
than
to
Brett.
have like
Owen Hart's a better wrestler than Brett
probably
by far.
By far. Ooh.
Bret Hart
I
is
think there's a lot of
Bret
stuff.
Hart has really helped his game. You look at a lot of Bret Hart matches, it's 7 moves and give me that rest hold, baby.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I love Bret Hart. I can't
Oh,
I can't take off the rose-colored glasses for that one. But anyway, a better wrestler than even Bret Hart would be Bart Gunn.
Bart Gunn.
What's Bart Gunn's finishing move?
It's a part of the Smoking Guns finishing move, which was a
He
weird
just
version
waits-
of
he just waits there for Billy to drop a leg, which never happens.
yeah. It's basically they did a version of Demolition's finishing move, which is one person held down, the other one didn't. I think they just did it with a leg drop. Isn't that correct?
They did it with a leg drop, and there was no backbreaker. Like there was no like backbreaker then leg drop, so the guy flipped over. It was just a
Yeah.
solid bump, which I mean, I think is good.
Yeah, I do because it doesn't seem the Meltzer driver, but the Meltzer driver, like I don't know, it's one of those things that's interesting with tag team finishing moves because technically they always are going to break the rules of double teaming.
Yeah. No, because you get 5 seconds.
You
Right?
get 5 seconds. Great logic. Fuck yeah,
you do. You
Dylan.
get 5 seconds to go in and out. I mean, I only know that from the video games. Once you play the video games, you can't watch wrestling again because you're like, not can't watch wrestling, but you have to be like, oh, I guess they just don't follow these like rules they've clearly laid out.
No, they don't. It's one of those things. It's also very interesting because the Smoking Guns were kind of part of the last big wave where Vince McMahon kind of cared about tag teams again, and really, for a while, it was them, the Head Shrinkers, and the Steiners. So they take that gimmick. They're brought to the WWF as the Smoking Guns. They make their debut at King of the Ring. Is that correct?
They came in because the Nasty Boys left and just kind of went right into a feud with the Head Shrinkers. But yeah, their pay-per-view debut was at King of the Ring.
Their pay-per-view, pardon me, was at the King of the Ring, and they did a very interesting thing because I remember this pay-per-view and because it was that thing of I rented it and going back, and you wouldn't know that they were a new team. Like the WWF at the time actually did something very smart, which is they kind of just acted like anyone new on the roster had been there for a while. That was like they were aware of them, and now this new talent has arrived here, but they've always been kind of going, as opposed to now where they kind of just are like, we don't even know where this guy came from, and probably it was somewhere bad because it wasn't here. That's bad.
Yeah, but the other thing about the Smoking Guns is also you have to understand this. These are 6'5", 260-pound athletes. They step foot in wrestling. All they have to do is go to a gas station in Florida, say we are professional wrestlers, and then what happens is immediately shows up in a car is J.J. Dillon and Eric Bischoff shows up in a car, and they put their dicks together and just start jacking off because they are so excited to sign one
that is
another.
actually
They're
100% true.
And
What
whichever
happened?
one jacked off first inside the other one's dick hole got him, and J.J. Dillon did it. He
Did you know-
when WCW
do you know what
thought he
happened to
meant
the- do you know what
God
hap-
Gun, but
Do you know what happened to the smegma in that incident?
I do.
It became Ralphus.
But they debut in an 8-man tag, and I remember watching this as a kid and not needing any. Oh, they're friendly cowboys. I'm in.
Yeah, it's the greatest gimmick ever. Who are those friendly cowboys? You did it. There they are.
They live on a ranch. Oh,
What
that's good.
what I also liked is they had the long 90s cowboy coats because they didn't dress like cowboys. What I always thought the Smoking Guns dressed like was country music superstars.
Yeah, and the weird other thing is that like they were Vince McMahon was like cowboys have mustaches.
Yeah,
so Billy
and
Gunn
bullets.
just grow this fucking weird mustache.
Oh, they both, yeah, they have mustaches and mullets, and also you could really tell that someone told someone about Garth Brooks because there's a certain point in their career where they start wearing the Garth Brooks like very baggy Western shirts. But that's the best thing about them also too is I love that they wrestled in jeans and cowboy boots. I thought they were always a really impressive tag team. I do not think that the Smoking Guns get their due for actually being a fun, dynamic team. Like they were a team, there was a lot of Irish whips into staircases, which was about as hardcore as the WWF got in 1994. But they were fun and engaging to watch. And that's sort of the thing with Bart Gunn is just a guy who's good at wrestling, who's just making some money.
Yeah, and they're just big guys, and they wrestle inoffensively. It's kind of like Billy Gunn now. Billy Gunn just figured a way how to stick around. And the thing that sets Billy apart from Bart is just like he's.
What was
way
that?
better.
What were those words? Billy
sets
Glug.
Billy away from Bart is that he's just way better at acting.
I would even say what sets Billy
He's
from
also a
Bart
better athlete. Like he can actually move.
is
Like,
I think
Yeah, go for
I
it.
think this is a weird thing. I think Hulk because Vince McMahon liked Jerry Graham, Dr. Jerry Graham, that was his favorite wrestler growing up, who was a blonde guy. I think Vince McMahon thinks blonde people are better than brunette people.
Oh no, you're getting into some weird things there.
I mean, and
It's
I don't
certainly-
even mean it in terms of a eugenics Nazi Third Reich thing. I mean it as in Vince McMahon is an old school carnival style promoter, and he is trying to. His hero is a muscular, cool guy in the visage of the 50s and 60s. That's what Vince McMahon's picturing in his head clearly, and that is a blonde, muscular man. So Billy Gunn in Vince McMahon's mind is better than Bart Gunn because they're essentially coming out of the Smoking Guns. They're essentially the same guy. They both have no discernible finishing move. Everyone's like, I like those guys. And then they're like, you want to see more of them? No, that's good. That's the amount.
Here's the thing about Bart Gunn, though. Legit, watch him. He doesn't move his face that much. He's just like a big fucking dude who can't really emote. Like, there's a thing where it's like, you look at all the pictures of the Smoking Guns, and Billy Gunn was clearly told to smile, so he smiled. And then Bart Gunn smiled, so he was like,
Yeah, you're right.
Nope, not
Okay,
doing it.
I'll
Do
do
you
a
look
Billy
angry?
Gunn. I'll do a Billy.
Nope,
Okay, to
can't
show
do
the Patreon listeners, I'll do the Billy Gunn smile. You do the Bart Gunn smile.
Okay.
See, that's what they're all like.
It's in the eyes too. It's like this. He's like, "Oh, can you emote regularly?" Yeah, and the eyes just droop a bit, and he's like,
Yeah.
Ugh.
This is Bart Gunn. I'm very happy.
Bart Gunn was clearly told by his dad, smiling and frowning. They're both for fucking poontang.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you when you smile when you've just finished in a woman and you know it's gonna
Yeah.
be a baby.
And
Everything else is frivolous,
that baby's a boy.
and you think it's gonna be a boy because you wore all
Does
blue during
your
conception.
cum make men or women? If your cum makes women, that's technically part of a period. You're a girl. Bart Gunn's
there
dad.
you go. Thank
Bart
God.
Gunn's dad. Bart Gunn's dad. He was mega back in the 80s. Bart Gunn's dad. Bart Gunn's dad. He's from Florida, so suck his dick.
There you go. Suck him off, eat him out.
So,
Yeah,
of course you eat them out. If you're gonna suck someone out, you gotta eat them out. Everyone knows that, Dylan.
If you're gonna suck somebody off, you gotta flip them over. Wait, you just you cook a pancake on one side too? You fucking crazy?
Goddamn
Suck 'em
right. What are you
off.
fucking doing? I didn't realize you fucking. When you're making a grilled cheese, you only grill one fucking piece of bread. Now you gotta grill both pieces of bread, baby.
Anyone here in a long-term relationship, man or woman would actually be better is if your partner's doing the deed. Say, what do you only cook one side of a grilled cheese and then just present your butt and see what happens?
Yeah. And you'll by the way know if the person is a listener of the Wrestler Review because they will look at you and go, "Get ready," because here's a weird thing about all of the people that listen to this program.
Get ready.
Very good at rimming. It's a weird thing. I've met a lot of people that listen to this podcast while I've been on tour in the UK, and the one thing we always discuss, we always look at each other and go, "We rim good," and then people are like, most of their partners have come up to me and been like, "Thank you." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You didn't mention it, but your podcast inspired him to eat my asshole better than most people eat assholes." And I was like, "You know what? Thank you.
Now that I think of it, is Billy Gunn's entire career kind of just gay porn categories? Because he starts as a cowboy, and
Yes.
then he's a guy who like his whole gimmick is I fucking
Yeah, I
fuck
got a nice ass.
Like I
Yeah,
have a nice ass,
yeah.
and then later on I fuck ass.
Yeah, there's two things you need to know about me.
We gotta make you a main eventer. So we.
This was a logic. This was a logic.
Not only do you have a nice ass, but you want to fuck ass.
I have many friends named Paul, and one of them pointed this out many years ago
That's a
about
weird
wrestling.
brag. I have many
do.
friends. Named
I do have many friends named Paul. I have more than one friend named
More
Paul.
Pauls
And he
than
pointed,
no Pauls. Go for it.
and he was not a wrestling fan, but was fascinated by the logic of wrestling. And Billy Gunn was his favorite, which was he goes, so let me get this straight. He's a cowboy, then he becomes a badass, which denotes he's like a real dangerous fella. But because ass is in his name, it also denotes he likes asses.
Yeah.
And so he was nicknamed Mr. Ass, which is supposed to intimidate you, denoting that if you're not careful, he's gonna fuck you in the ass. Then he mapped this all out. It was so funny. He goes, and then Mr. Ass evolved into being Billy from Billy and Chuck, where they were literally two guys that were making and in love. And then that was revealed to be totally fake, and he became the one Billy Gunn, who is he's the one guy named Billy Gunn.
No, the one Billy Gunn was after Mr. Ass, because that was when they actually were like getting sponsors pulled because of the content, and they were like, okay, Stone Cold has to keep doing the finger. Like, he's going to keep on giving people the finger, so we have to take something away. So they took away Billy Gunn. So basically, it was like Billy Gunn suffered because they were like, Stone Cold's not going to just put his fist up and go, curse you! He has to give Like, how funny would it have been if Stone Cold stopped going the finger like, right here?
I would have loved it.
That would have been really good. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess maybe that's another reason. No, I mean, that would have been discussed, but maybe that's another quiet reason they turned him heel was because, like, okay, well, if giving the finger is a babyface thing, we'll just stop him giving the finger. But then again, they fucked dead bodies. So that probably doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Anyway, I liked the Smoking Guns finishing moves. I always liked tag team wrestling. I liked the fact that they wore jeans. And I thought Sunny was a really good fit with them because it was like, I remember even being in, I guess this is grade 6 at this time, so I'm starting to pet the old
Go
Ripple.
ahead. Oh, you rascal.
But they really look like they double team Sunny. That's all I'm saying.
It was always implied that she was dating Billy.
Billy's clearly the like standout of the team.
Now, what happened when
Bart
the Smoking
was like,
Guns?
I don't know about you guys banging all the time.
Yeah.
I like Bart as that guy where it's like, you guys shouldn't be having full sex before matches, but what?
Yeah, listen, I try and preserve my chi because Billy's got enough chi. We're not really winning matches though.
That's why I come into the ring full of vinegar. Also, Bart Gunn.
Also, let's talk about what they used to do to Sunny when they were feuding with the Body Donnas, which is so weird.
Let's talk about it.
So what would happen is
we're saying Bart Gunn, one of the nicer guys in wrestling, and he still does this. Go for it. John.
This is Bart Gunn, nice guy in wrestling, still bad guy in real life. Sometimes and during house shows would just pick up Sunny and smell. It was implied how Christopher Hobson read it, which was I pictured smelling her posterior or Lady Garden.
Yeah.
And then going like, ooh, she smells good to Chris Candido. And then Chris Candido's like, could you stop smelling my girlfriend? Also, I assume Sunny was like, please stop smelling me, you weird, weird man.
Well, and also Chris Candido's already just, she's already having a full affair with someone else. Can't you just not smell my wife's ass?
This is also the wildest thing that's never talked about of like, oh, Shawn Michaels, such a nice man. Yeah, such a nice man who made a cuckold of what seems to be wrestling's nicest boy. And his reason is fun. And then, by the way, got into a fist fight with Bret Hart because he went on TV and implied that Sunny was fucking Bret to get just to piss off Bret. It's the wildest time.
Also, Jim Cornette's accounting of that is hilarious. Where everyone's like, "Yeah, Bret beat him up," and Jim Cornette was like, "That was like a girl fight in grade 7. There was just hair pulling. Like there was no actual."
Here's my other question: do you know who ended up with the hair?
Me.
It was not you. It was
me.
Jim Cornette.
Ooh. Jim
Because-
Cornette. Yeah, Jim Cornette was like, "Why don't you fucking stab each other, you fucking kids?"
Because Brett pulled most of Sean's ponytail out. Like, if you'll notice, right after that, Sean cuts his hair. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, yeah, Jim Cornette, you are reporting correct. There's a lot of ponytail cutting, but according to both of their books and you, because you said you took the ponytail home, there was like a shitload of hair. Like, it was literally like Brett just fucking. Ah! How dare you say I cheated on my wife with the one woman I have not cheated her
that's
on her wife?
infuriating. Where it's like, listen, man, I am cheating on her, and she bugs me about it all the time. Now you just made my fucking life shit. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go cheat on her tonight with someone she'll never meet in her goddamn life. You fucking, I'm not a fucking idiot. That's probably what his point. His point.
Yeah,
is,
that was
like, what, do you think I'm fucking
that's what
stupid?
his point was.
She doesn't beat these bitches. You fucking asshole. Then just like hair pull.
I guarantee that's what it was. So basically, the Smoking Guns break up because they break up every team. Bart Gunn's like, what am I going to do? And
talk more about, like, there's only so much we can talk about WWF Bart Gunn. So we gotta delve into
Brawl
this
for All
Sunny
could be
thing.
30 minutes, you maniac.
Dude, literally it's Sunny and Sunny doing the awesome angle where it was like, wherever the tag titles go, I go. Billy Gunn. What I thought they were gonna split them off. I thought that would have been a fine pairing of just like, hey, I have sex with this guy who's mean. For her and Billy Gunn, Sunny and Billy Gunn. But and they don't even this is the ultimate disrespect. They don't even really give an exit feud. Billy Gunn just leaves Bart Gunn. And the other thing I want to mention is, much like Billy Gunn, oddly, until now, because they have to, because he's in AEW, Bart Gunn is 6'5" guy who they never give many power moves to. It's not like Bart Gunn's like this. He's gonna throw you all over the place, and he's this monster. Even though he's like bigger than some other dudes, they try and make monsters. It's very
Here's my
odd.
question: what do they call Billy Gunn in AEW now? Kip something?
No, just Billy Gunn.
They call him Billy Gunn?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just don't own the copyright, but yeah, he's Billy Gunn.
That's wild that they don't own that copyright. That's wild to me.
Well, he's a smart guy. He probably bought his own copyright or something, because they were like, "Yeah, you're fucking Billy Gunn. Who gives a fucking shit?"
Yeah, that's true. They may have been able to get away with that at some point. That's
also,
very
Billy
fun.
Gunn's like 58 years old and fucking jacked.
Oh,
God
Billy
bless
Gunn.
steroids.
So funny. I was talking last night with friend of not this program but my other podcast, UTS, Elliot Steele, and another comedian named Andrea Hubert, both comedians. And Andrea Hubert and was listening as Elliot was like, everyone in athletics is on steroids. Like, it's like you don't look like that at 50. Like, what do you think? And is that funny thing of how surprised people, they're like, what? I thought they test for it. And it's like, not well.
Yeah, they can't. There's no money in catching people
Yeah.
doing steroids, and also there's like so much shit that's like weird, that's undetectable. If someone gets caught doing steroids, it's because they fucking like really like not addicted to, like, I can't speak to it obviously because I'm not that high of an achiever, but like it seems to be like they'd be like, okay, well, my performance is going down, I need to do more of this shit, and then that's when you get caught.
It was also like Mark Hunt sued the UFC because it's like, you guys let him go the other way and he was clearly on steroids and you just like waived a bunch of your own rules, and they were like, yeah, you want some money?
Yeah, exactly. Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, and it's such a good point too, because I would almost even say, bringing it back to the Smoking Guns, because you're insisting we spend more time on the Smoking Guns. You fuck.
Well, we'll take a break and then.
No. Now we're gonna do.
You know what? Let's do
Nope.
a 9-part series on the Smoking Guns.
I think we're doing a full year on the Smoking Guns, ladies and gentlemen.
like
It's
the
almost the
Smoking
end of
Guns.
21. It doesn't feel like are you still recovering from the year of McMahon, by the way? Because I'm still very much recovering.
And it's been a whole year. Yes.
It's been a whole year, and I'm not like, we did a few 2-parters this year, and I'm still not okay with it.
I wasn't good. I wanted to do this, and I almost did it, but it was taking so long. I wanted to make the Year of McMahon one episode and upload it, but it would have taken like a full 3 days for it to upload and for me to create the episode because you had to tie all of them together.
How long? So that is it? It's a 52-hour episode.
No, it's more than 52 hours because each episode
is at least an hour.
Yeah, so it's more than 52 hours. Probably.
Oh, and there's a couple of those. There's a couple of those that are so long.
Yeah, the first one we were all excited. Anyway, talk more about the smoking guns, and then I'll refill coffee after during our break.
Oh, that's interesting. Guess what? I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how I'm going to punch you in the fucking face while
Okay.
wearing cowboy boots like the smoking guns. The thing I would like to
Wow.
say about the Billy Gunn is also Billy Gunn also just had a slightly more cosmetically pleasing body. They were both like, we're not doing steroids. It's 1995. But Billy Gunn is just slightly more hench and yum than Bart Gunn. Although I
Yeah.
always thought Bart Gunn was a good bruiser. Here's the thing with Bart Gunn post Smoking Guns, where they never really give him a feud. He kind of just becomes a jobber. He's able to build a full house while under contract. By the way, like,
Yeah, he's a man. He's like just like, all right, I'll just build a house. Like it's not like he's sitting there. People talk about like I'm sitting.
do you know?
catering. Bart Gunn
Do you
was
know
like,
who?
No, I'll
Do
go
you know
home
who
and build
Bart
a
Gunn
house."
is? Do you know who Bart Gunn is? Bart Gunn is Rob Bebenek. Rob Bebenek is Bart Gunn.
Rob Bevenek, a Canadian comedian who still has a day job, even though he's like one of the most accomplished comedians in.
But he just has a day job because he's like, you got it. Yeah, you got man's supposed to work.
What am I supposed to do? Sit down like a hippie during the
He's
day?
the only guy who's ever said the following sentence. The only time I started worrying about my drinking is when I was building my house. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't like working construction, so I get drunk while I do it. And I really didn't like working on that house, so I got really drunk a lot. And I was like, do you live in that house? And he's like, yeah, man, I did a great job. I'm like, yeah, you did. Yeah. How many touchdowns did he have, Dylan? Do you remember? I do.
3 touchdowns and a fumble recovery.
That's right. And I believe there was also
scouted. Hurt his knee.
Yeah.
Rob Bebenek is the bane of every comedian's existence because he's literally the guy who never moved from your hometown, but except he did move, and he's better than you at art.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's like, oh, what if the guy who bullied you also was like, hey, sorry about that, so you can't really pin it on me. There's a guy, before we go to break, there's a great episode of Frasier where the guy bullied Niles, and it turns out he's just a very successful plumber now. And
That's
Niles
right.
keeps trying to get the upper hand on him, but then the guy's like, man, I really treated you badly, and you're owed this.
And they start crying. Luckily, that episode ends with the best thing, which is the older brother's fixing the toilet, and Frasier shoves his head in it and then runs away. That episode's a classic. Also, and I mean this, if you get Frasier out of your fucking mouth. I'm the host on this program that talks about Frasier. You talk about Cheers. Relate it to an episode involving Norm getting stuck on a stool.
And then Norm fucking sucked off Sam.
Oh, by the way, if you ever want to be so sad, please go check out George Wendt now. Fuck.
Is that Norm?
Yeah.
You know who his nephew is?
No.
Jason Sudeikis.
Shut the fuck up. Is that true?
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis. Maybe, yeah, because he was like, when Jason Sudeikis had a story, I think it was on Mark Maron, where he talked about how he's like, yeah, well, when I was really hard up for money, my uncle George Wendt would just take me out, and everyone would just like buy him beers because he's Norm from Cheers, and he'd go, all right, here you go. All right, here you go. And I'd get hammered and tell him about how acting sucked, and he'd be like, yeah, I don't know. Acting's great for me. I played one guy, everyone loves me, and I show up and people buy me things.
If you guys want to live a life of nightmares, just watch the George Wendt Opie and Anthony interview, where he literally looks like some sort of soon-to-be lanced pimple.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're going to take a break. John, I have
We are
one
not
question for
taking
you.
a break. We are not taking a break. We're
We
going
are
straight
taking a
through. Princess Dylan wanted to only talk about the smoking guns.
No.
And Princess Dylan,
Shut the
guess
fuck
what
up.
Princess Dylan, I will not shut the fuck
Shut
up.
the
You
fuck
just didn't
up.
know how much time we've done. Now you know.
How
We're-
much? How much?
We've done almost.
How much smoking guns themed pornography is on the internet?
I mean, if I was control of the internet, 90% of it would be smoking guns themed. All porn, by the way, is
Billy
improved
on
if you.
Bart, Bart on Billy. Yes, that is a different thing.
Of
Sonny
course
on
it
Bart,
is.
Sonny on Billy.
What about this? Billy on hat, Bart on jacket.
Ooh, Bart
Billy
on
and
jacket.
Each fuck each other's cowboy boots.
Gun in butt.
Gun in butt, butt in gun.
But it's sure. They fit
Yay.
the butt in the gun. More
Exactly.
top-notch content like
There's
this
also
after the break.
penis hole pinching, which is you hold open your penis hole and then you jam it onto a gentleman's posterior and then you just bite down with it. You
Stop listening to this right now and just look up some cock fingering, guys. Enjoy.
So the smoking guns aren't a tag team.
Whoa.
Bart Gunn has built a house and Vince Russo's there. And Vince Russo, not Vince Russo, goes, hey, I got an idea. Let's have people punch themselves in the face for real. And everyone goes, Steve Williams will win that. We're all wrestling promoters and just think if someone's big and tall and can drink, they're good at
Crazy.
fighting. This is the thing that everyone needs to remember about Jim Ross. One of the best commentators in the world, but in his head, he's like, well, here's why Steve Williams is going to win. He is from Oklahoma. That's real cool. He is bigger than me, very dangerous, has played football, toughest man in the world. And then Bart Gunn, who's just a guy who's worked construction, so therefore 10 times crazier than Steve Williams ever will be, beats the shit out of him. It was the brawl for all. Do we need to debate the brawl for all or explain what it is? But essentially what it is it's like Vince Russo heard about bare knuckle boxing and went, I want to do that.
It's such a weird, because it's not just like a tough man contest, which is how they started to make it, but it's like you can also get takedowns. And the only way, this is what I always thought was weird. What is Dr. Death Steve Williams, who was a collegiate professional wrestler and like an amazing athlete for the time. He was 280 pounds and like solid. So
Yeah.
he had to cut water weight to make the heavyweight limit. So he is like a preternatural athlete, but also like that was 15 years ago and time doesn't stand still.
Yeah, he's been in China, pardon me. He's been in Japan.
Oh, it's okay, Trump. Tell us about it.
You'll find I am Steve Bannon. You will find that he was in Japan just drinking with Stan Hansen for 15 years. Like, it's that sort of thing of like, yeah, Stan Hansen was a fucking tough, scary guy. And now he's a fat guy with muscly legs because he's like, I don't do arms.
He's a tough guy on your wrestling show because you let him win.
Yeah.
Bart Gunn is the truth about like fighting, which is, yeah, sometimes the boring guy just wins. That's the UFC, where it's like, hey, let's push this guy. He's really interesting. Oh, it turns out he's so crazy he never trains, and this boring guy who trains all day beat the living shit out of him because he's boring and he just likes this thing.
That's the thing, is that's the tipping point with Conor McGregor. Is Conor McGregor has gone he's gone past the he's a crazy guy who also trains, and now he's just like he's a crazy guy who wears just weird
vanity steroids and wears weird shirts.
Can we also talk about, and we should pretty much always be talking about this on this program, was the time that Conor McGregor wore a suit that was pinstriped, but if you look closely, the pinstripe said fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. But he also punched an old man, and the old man just were like, all right.
When did he punch an old man?
He punched an old man a while ago. That's when people were like, fuck Conor McGregor, fuck his whiskey. But he sucker punched an old man, and the old man just like took the punches.
I mean, what no one talks about is the time he threw a fucking thing at the bus. Like he ended a guy's fucking UFC career because he's a cokey asshole.
Yeah, glass got in the man's eye. Anyway, what are we gonna talk? Oh yeah, Bart Gunn. Oh, also we should say.
So Bart Gunn, the brawl for all was supposed to.
Express. Bart Gunn was in the new Midnight Express.
Oh, because sorry, I always think that's after the Brawl for All. Yeah, they bring him back for the new Midnight Express when Jim Cornette's having the ill-fated NWA invasion, which Jim Cornette claimed. And Bombastic Bob. Here's Bombastic Bob.
Bootylicious Bart. Bart Gunn and Bob Holly, two guys who hate personality.
Why the fuck wasn't it literally just beautiful Bob Holly and bad Bart Gunn, built-in feud, and badass Bart Gunn, I'm the real badass of the Gunn brothers. There's your built-in tag team feud. Also,
how about this?
why didn't they just build a fucking feud between the fucking New Midnight Express and the New Age Outlaws? Like, it would literally have made all the sense in the world. We are the future. This is what tag team wrestling is like now. This is what it's like. We're an attitude. I left the Smoking Guns because I didn't want to be a traditional weird wrestler like you are now. But like, it doesn't make any sense. That team was fucking fun. And the reason why they had to make that team was because Vince McMahon wanted people to stop recognizing Jim Cornette from the Midnight Express. Like, they understand where that team came from was Jim Cornette was so popular as part of the Midnight Express. They were like, we should do that again. And then, like so many things in the WWF, they write the best first chapter and they're like, every book's one chapter. Bye.
Yeah, and I just think they should have been Boring Bob and Boring Bart, the boring guys.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
The promos are like, they ask how you're doing, and then you
fine.
Tell how, and then yeah, exactly. If you say more than fine, it's showing off. That would be their catchphrase.
There is a person out there.
Why are you watching this? It's a children's program.
Yeah, there's a yeah. You better not be putting ketchup on your fries. By the way, if you want to know about the most unnecessary human being in the world, look up any
most sugary thing you should be eating. You stupid pieces of shit. They should be
swearing
to.
Yeah, look up anything Jim Florentine has put up on Barstool Sports. It is wild. That guy, no ketchup if you're an adult. That's for kids so they can eat food. If you can't just eat food, you don't add sauce. You're like, who beat you up, Jim? Jim, who beat you up?
He's a white man for sure. He's the whitest.
Oh, of course.
Protestant food.
Only a white man would be like, you know who needs to get taken down a peg or two? Potato chips.
So we go to the Brawl for All. He beats Bob Holly on points, which is the only guy he beats on points because he knocks fucking Steve Williams the fuck out. Also, if you watch these fights, Bart Gunn is not good at fighting. It's just they swang like they're fucking outside a club, and then someone gets knocked unconscious totally.
Yeah, like it's not real fights. It's one guy who's worked construction versus wrestlers. This is the same thing with like bear in mind there's a shitload of people I guarantee in the wrestling world that when CM Punk went to the UFC they were like, everybody watch out, the best in the world is here. And it's like the best in the world at a different thing. Because they're both just because one involves a cage and the other thing occasionally has a cage doesn't mean they're the same. They're very different. Very different things.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, they as the New Midnight Express, he feuds with the Rock and Roll Express for a while, which is hilarious because it's like, I mean, Bob Holly, for whatever you want to say about him, and Bart Gunn, it's like who these two old carnies versus two men who are both like 240 pounds. What the fuck is happening here? Which Jim Cornette, when he rails on about like this is unrealistic that these small guys would beat up these, big guys, never mentions that, which, whatever. Anyway, so Brawl for All, Bart Gunn knocks out JBL, he knocks out Dr. Death, which apparently they think got him heat in the back. I doubt that very much. I think it was more like, yeah, I don't think Vince McMahon cared about Dr. Death Steve Williams. He's not at all the type of guy that Vince McMahon would be drawn to as an act. I think that I don't think Vince McMahon felt anything, or maybe the most he felt was like, yeah, see, jacked guys can beat up your little stupid fucking wrestlers, Jim Ross. Like, I think
it's also, by the way, like I've read both of Jim Ross's books. Vince McMahon, it's the weirdest thing because you're like, Vince McMahon, like, I don't know what he thought of Jim Ross. I think Vince McMahon was angry that his greatest success was brought to him by a fat man. Like, I guarantee that bothered Vince McMahon. He, like, anytime he's like, it would be better if you had abs. I would like you more if you had abs.
Yeah. Do steroids, JR.
JR, do steroids. Like, yeah. Dr. Death is crazy.
Yeah, and then instead of giving Bart Gunn, like, oh, look at the left hand of death or something to try and, or give him,
which is what I'll never understand this part. Is why the fuck and also what it was is I don't think Bart Gunn had any allies in creative. In the end, what they needed was someone to be like, hey, we did this with this guy. Like, what no one talks about is everyone went, Bart Gunn won? That's fucking wild. Like, everyone remembers it as being a bad thing now, but with so many things in wrestling, the Attitude Era was still the beginning of like, is this real? Is this not real? You could have been like, this guy is a legitimate fucking badass. Mm-hmm. Here's where we're going to go. I also think part of it is, wait a minute, this guy is the toughest son of a bitch on the planet? No, that's Steve Austin. We're not doing this. Like, it's weird. Like, in the logic of wrestling is they actually should have had him be beaten by Steve Austin and have him be the left hand of death and knock Steve Austin out. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this guy he cheap shot Steve Austin, sets up the match. Well, you guys don't need a fucking match for fucking Monday Night Raw? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's true. Don't do it on pay-per-view. Do it on Monday Night Raw. I remember they gave him a couple squash matches or whatever.
Did they?
Yeah, just to like build up the Butterbean thing. But it's like, and then the other thing was, they genuinely thought this guy was gonna beat Butterbean, and then Butterbean, which I've said before on this program, was like, "I'll work this.
Yeah,
I've done professional wrestling before. I'll let this guy win." And they said, "No, just make it normal." And then I do not know how I don't know how. That's one of the most unsung.
I truly think.
Things in the history
I
of
truly think they just fed him to the wolves. It's that weird time in wrestling.
Well, I'm just saying they shouldn't have sanctioned it. It's a professional athlete against a guy who's not a professional athlete in a sport where you could actually die.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that Bart Gunn escaped with just being horribly knocked unconscious is crazy, especially on a wrestling ring, and he gets knocked out near the apron that's not padded.
That's fucking hilarious. That's so true. Yeah.
Like, they always say the hardest part of the apron is, like, the fact that that was sanctioned, which even on the Dark Side of the Ring brawl, for all they don't talk about, is that, like, Vinny Pazienza was the referee, who's not a referee. He's just a fucking boxer who does vanity steroids.
Yeah, he's just a boxer that now loves Trump. This is a Trump-loving boxer.
That was Gorilla Monsoon, where he would have just been like,
and
I
by the way,
lost because I bet that this wouldn't happen. I vote for me to be the winner.
Gorilla Monsoon, you can actively see me getting thinner from cancer while I'm watching this boxing match. I want to go home. I'm tired. Why did I agree to this?
But then Bart Gunn gets out of there after he gets myrtleized by Butterbean and goes to dying All Japan Wrestling.
Yeah, Butterbean beats the shit out of Bart Gunn so hard he actually flies to Japan. Yeah, he flies. Yeah, wham, and he woke up in the land of the rising sun, and he joins All Japan and has a great career. Guys, Bart Gunn. That was the best thing that ever happened to Bart Gunn, because if he had stayed in the States, he would have like shown up during the Billy and Chuck angle. They would have used him as like, his name's Butt Gunn, and he's the
yeah, that would have been better actually.
He would have been killed by having sex with Dawn Marie, and then he commits suicide. Gun. Yeah, please welcome Cum Gun.
But he immediately goes into All Japan, and All Japan values these things, so they just push him, and he ends up having like a return match with Dr. Death. Who apparently they still hated each other, and Dr. Death was pissed off because he's like, you fucking
of course
ruined my career, which is like, you were supposed to let you win, you fucking idiot.
Also, if they were building up to it, why didn't they just let you win? It's also that weird thing about wrestling where it's like, guys, it's wrestling. They could have just let him win.
I don't know, man. Well, this is the other thing where it's like, if Bart Gunn could frown, he would have been a hell of a wrestler. But he just is incapable of emoting.
That's right. He's a tired boy. I'm a tired boy.
I guarantee you look at when he wins the title and he's like, it's the most smile he can do. Like,
yeah. This'll... am I going to be reimbursed, because this will make my checked luggage back to the States more heavy?
That was the first thing he said. Was
am I being reimbursed? Oh, he looks like the kind of guy. Yeah, I don't mean to sound like I'm not grateful. I am grateful, but this will cost me more money than I was expecting.
I guess I'll just have to throw out my computer.
Yeah, which I didn't like using it. It was taking away from a desk I just like keeping blank.
So. He teams with who? Who does he team with in Japan?
Oh my God, I've totally gone blank. Who does he team with?
Johnny fucking Ace.
Yes, he teams with Johnny fucking Ace, and then as All Japan is kind of going down the fucking tubes, and Johnny Ace fucks off to WCW, who rides that fucking ship to the death? That's right.
Mike Barton.
That's right. Old fucking Bart Gunn, Mike Barton. Also known as one of the members of the movement, but not the leader of the movement, which was Johnny Ace's faction, which I thought was so funny.
Johnny Ace had his own faction.
Yeah, he had his own 4 horsemen that were named after the way a doctor describes shitting.
And the craziest thing is, like, you look at like who you think of Bart Gunn is, and if you don't follow Japanese wrestling, who you think of Kento Kobashi and Jun Akiyama being, and Johnny Ace and Bart Gunn beat them.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
Who did Kento Kobashi for the Triple Crown? Brackus.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. Who pinned the Great Muta in a match that the Great Muta said if he loses, he'll eat his own dick? Oh, it was Mordecai.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how Giant Baba's career ended, losing to Iron Mike Sharp.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll never forget where I was when Antonio Inoki lost that retirement match to Mantar.
Did you know he was in TNA for one match and he lost to
Perry Saturn? Only find this out while reading the research, and I was like, wow, TNA had everybody.
They gave everyone a shot.
TNA's alumni page TNA's alumni page is just the WWE alumni page plus Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, but with weird names. He's not
Yeah.
Bart Gunn. He's Bort Gunt.
Yeah, except for the alpha male
Oh,
Monty
Brown, yes.
Monty Brown. What was he in the fucking WWE? Marcus Corvon. Yeah, Marcus Corvon.
Legitimate Super Bowl champion, but they changed his name.
Yeah, why did they change? Because is his actual name
Why
Monty Brown, or was it Marcus
I
Corvon?
think it was the Monty Brown, the alpha male. Monty Brown was great, but
Was that his
I don't-
name when he was the Super Bowl champ, though?
I believe so. We'll do a weird episode on Monty Brown that'll have to be like very short because he basically was like, "Oh, this guy will be good," and then he's like, "I stopped wrestling."
That's so funny. I'm looking it up.
He got to WWE. He went to WWE CW, and then basically they were like, "We're good."
His real name is Monty Brown.
They do with Bart Gunn what they should have done with him, but they didn't.
No,
really-
he's not a Super Bowl champion, but he was at one of the 4 Super Bowls that the Buffalo Bills failed to win.
That's pretty sweet. No, I thought he was the Super Bowl champ with the Patriots.
Uh,
At least that's what TNA used to say. Anyway, they do, them being Japanese wrestling and All Japan, which is the great thing. He stops wrestling in All Japan in 2002, and you think, oh, he's done probably. Nope, because he's back in New Japan, competing in tag tournaments, and just really what they should have always done with him, which was he's another guy in a tag team.
yeah.
And he gets a lot of mileage out of being just a guy in a tag team. He had a shot at the IWGP tag titles. Great. He really worked in Japan quite a bit. And Japan's a sweet deal because you get 2 weeks on, 6 weeks off, which he liked because he probably built several more houses.
Yeah, he did. I actually remember this time period because he was posting a lot on Friendster, and he kept
really?
he kept building houses, and he kept being like, "I don't live here, though. Get it? You can only live in one place."
Yeah, this is an interesting thing where one of the first live streams was actually Bart Gunn explaining to a restaurant in Japan why hamburgers are better than sushi, and it took 5 hours.
Oh, and when
He really got
speaking,
in depth.
but when speaking to them, he is not speaking Japanese, but he is doing a Japanese accent.
Yeah. He's doing what he thinks Japanese is, which is just
A Cockney.
Mickey Rooney's character from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh no! I thought he did Mickey Rooney's character from Zorro, the weird, ill-fated YTV TV show. That was the Black Stallion, is what I'm thinking of. God damn it,
Ooh.
Dylan. What's the best thing about Bart Gunn?
I think the best thing about Bart Gunn is that he's still alive.
I agree. I think the best thing about Bart Gunn is he seems very happy in his life.
Yeah, honestly, and the fact that he escaped that Butterbean fight without any problems, without any horrible injury. Because trust me, the way he got knocked out there, that was one of the most picturesque knockouts I've ever seen, which is crazy. And then they just didn't have Butterbean or Bart Gunn on television anymore. Like, it's so crazy that that's what they did with him. That's the worst thing, is that, like, they tell you, and they'll always tell you to, like, grab the brass ring and go get your own push. And Bart Gunn literally made his own luck because he was a part of an invasion angle that they had forgotten about for 4 months. They put him in the Brawl for All for some reason, just because they needed a warm body. And he ends up winning it. And then instead of just being like, I'm the knockout man, Bart Gunn, and exactly building to, like, Bart Gunn's going to lose on some fucking Raw, and then we can, like, forget about this thing ever happening. They were like, no, let's have him die before Butterbean.
Yeah. We could really make some money with this guy, or we could make it so he doesn't know what trigonometry is anymore.
Yeah, this guy could forget his kids' names. But, I mean, Bart Gunn, seemingly with the same...
I don't think there's a bad thing about Bart Gunn, quite frankly, because he just seems very content. He's a man who liked wrestling. He wrestled for a while. Now he's an electrician, and he's a grandfather. And he seems like he's having a wonderful time.
And you know what? He stopped wrestling at the perfect way, which was he was on a Raw reunion. He came out as Bart Gunn, which made his career go full circle in 2007, and then he stopped wrestling immediately.
Yeah, he was eliminated by Steve Blackman, which in many ways we all will be. And then he went on to have a nice time.
Yeah,
guys,
okay,
I gotta
that's it.
I gotta take a shit. Fuck you.
All right, so please get us on Patreon, patreon.com/wrestler review for your This Is Jizz mugs for $10, $25 for the $25 a month, and you get to pick wrestlers for the Mean Gene mugs. Those come in after 3 months. You get those mugs, and we're gonna order some ourselves, some test birch, so you can see us drinking out of fucking mugs because we're drinking fucking jizz, buddy.
I can't wait for my
thing. I don't know. Patreon wrestler review.
We're plugging nothing else but the fact that our Patreon has This Is Jizz mugs.
Yes.
Everyone get a This Is Jizz mug.
Mm-hmm. Please get those mugs at Wrestler Review, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Dylan Gott, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at The John Hastings, Twitter, Instagram. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll be back next week with Jerry McDivitt for Christmas. Holidays. I'm sorry. Bye-bye.